You're all very welcome to Táin Arts Centre and to what I think is going to be a very, very special night. First, I want to do some introductions. So tonight on guitar we have John McIntyre. And on fiddle, Zoe Conway. On keyboards, Patrick Connolly. And now the real stars of the show, the members of Dundalk's Men's Shed Choir. So hopefully everybody has in their hands a programme, because the programme for tonight's event also has a song listing and the lyrics to every song we're about to sing. Some of the songs I'm going to ask you to sing along with. Not all of them, just the odd one. So we're going to leave the house lights on a little bit for that. If you don't like public singing, don't sing. Simple as that. If you have been looking through the programme, you'll have seen an extensive director's note from myself. But I'm going to presume that not everybody took the time to read the whole thing. So as the night goes on, I'll be telling you a little bit about how this event came about. But for now, we're just going to dive straight in and watch our first video. It's to a song called Bricks and Mortar, and it's by one of the members of the choir, Tommy Murphy. So we'll roll that first film. Thank you.
How long have I been going to the men's shed? About 5 years. I heard about it. It was a great place to go when you retire. At the moment I'm fit to go around and drive and go to football matches and that. That would be no problem so far in life. The only thing I'd be afraid of is ever getting sick, so I'd be confined to the house or that. That'd be a worry to me. Men's Shed's brilliant. It gives me a new lease in life. When I started the painting in the men's shed, and there was a fella came in, he was teaching us how to paint, so I got into that way. You feel great to be fit to do this thing, which I never did. Well, I go back to Limerick. I came home from England and went to Limerick to work there, and was playing Gaelic football and got in with the team there. We'd be playing a match nearly every weekend, and we finally got to the county final, which was a big thing, and had a great day and night when we won it. That would be the football part, but the work, we worked on a big project in the centre of the city. The bricks and mortar was laying beside you. They were stacked beside you. So you had to lift them onto, you had a lane there where you built two, and you lifted the brick onto the lane all the time, which was hard work. A block would be heavier than a brick. They wore you down.
Take a look at this photo. There I stand in the back row, led forward for a Limerick football team. I was something of a hero on the local football ground, but the bricks and mortar wear you down, the bricks and mortar wear you down. When you find yourself uprooted, looking for a home from home, GAA is a good place to start. When I had a hard day down on the building site, being with my teammates always gave me heart. I once stood above 6 foot, a fine figure I surely cut, and I used to go a-roving round the town. I was something of a hero on the local football ground, but the bricks and mortar wear you down, the bricks and mortar wear you down. In brick I saw poverty that I never saw before, old families confined to just one room. I worked hard and harder still to make sure that my children would never have to face that kind of awful gloom. I once stood above 6 foot, a fine figure I surely cut, and I used to go a-roving round the town. I was something of a hero on the local football ground, but the bricks and mortar wear you down, the bricks and mortar wear you down. Oh, of all the wages I had earned, the taxman tried to take his share, although it was my sweat that greased the trowel. And working daily in the black leaves you open to attack, but I got sorely penalized for playing foul. I once stood above 6 foot, a fine figure I surely cut, and I used to go a-roving round the town. I was something of a hero on the local football ground, but the bricks and mortar wear you down, the bricks and mortar wear you down. Their football gave me freedom, eased my worries and my aches, and all my teammates had their worries too. It all just falls away when you get out there and play, kicking football with a tough and solid crew. I once stood above 6 foot, a fine figure I surely cut, and I used to go a-roving round the town. I was something of a hero on the local football ground, but the bricks and mortar wear you down, the bricks and mortar wear you down.
So, you'll see how this is going to work now. We're going to show a video and then we're going to sing a song. We can do that 11 times. Tommy Murphy, stand up there for a second. This is Tommy, and we were doing creative writing class, and a lot of the lads here in it, and some of the lads are out there in it. And Tommy was telling me a story once, and you've seen a photograph there that came up, and it was a picture of a load of lads playing GAA, and Tommy was 20. And I said, Tommy, which one were you? And Tommy pointed to the lad in the back row, big massive fella. And I looked at Tommy. And I went, Tommy. And he said, Paul, the bricks and mortar wear you down. And that's where that song came from. Thank you, Tommy. So some of these songs, like that last song, lends itself to you joining in on the chorus. You can hear the couple of verses, you'll get a sound of the chorus going. You can join us for a few of the choruses. Not all of them are sing-along songs. The next one is not really a sing-along song. So the next one is called Can You See the Sky by Hugh McKittrick, and we're just going to watch a wee video.
Joining the men's sheds is kind of like what I would do normally in joining a group. I joined it in about a year and a half ago, late 2018s. And the reason I joined was to join the choir in the men's shed. I'm involved with Talk FM, so one of my colleagues up there recorded the men's shed's choir, and I heard it, and I thought that sounded like my tribe. And so I went down and they welcomed me in straight away. When I joined the men's shed, it's all men as we know, and they all sing about the same standard as I do, which is not fantastic, but they're fairly good. And so it gave me an opportunity to get in straight away and sing along. And I like doing a bit of harmony, and there was a couple of guys there wanted to do harmony as well. So that suited. And I was interested in pushing my songs, because I'm now a frustrated songwriter. I'm trying to get my one-hit wonder. And so they were very open to that. Well, I thought the creative writing sessions were a great idea. I mean, it was as close to a song factory as you can get, I think. And the stories that the men told were turned into songs by Sophie very well indeed. So at the beginning I didn't know exactly what was going to happen at the end, so I stayed with it and kept with it all the way through, and I was glad I did, because I thought that the end result is worth something. Well, when I write a song like Can You See the Sky, I mean, most of my songs are what I call fiction. And it's like writing anything, you make it up and the words sound right and the music sounds right. But this was prompted initially by my mother spent 4.5 years in a nursing home, and I was going to visit her on a daily basis. And the people in there don't see the sky too much. And that was one of the things that struck me. So when I got the first couple of lines, come and sit down here, tell me what's going on, which is what they might say to you, it went from there. And I think that the message is, as long as you can see the sky, you're doing all right.
Just before you go, can you see the sky? I was happy then, smelling sweet perfume, lying in the glen and talking to the moon, playing through the hay, waiting for a day the gypsies want to drink the nectar of life again. On the road to heaven, waiting for nirvana, is it time to say goodbye? Will you scrape my soul when they stand in line? Roll me in the hole and go and drink my wine. I won't see the fun, I'm already gone, way up to the sky. I won't see the fun, I'm already gone, way up to the sky. At the end of days, dancing with the gypsies, want to drink the nectar of life again. On the road to heaven, waiting for nirvana, is it time to say goodbye? Come and sit down here, tell me what's going on. It is my desire to talk to anyone. I want you to know, just before you go, can you see the sky?
I want you to know, just before you go, can you see the sky?
Thank you, Hugh. So, just to explain a little bit further how some of these songs came about, Hugh talked about it a little bit in the video there. 15 of the men sheds, the 72 members currently at the moment, 15 of them joined myself for creative writing classes every Wednesday for a very long time, for about 4 or 5 months, and we would just talk about lots of things, what it means to be a man in 2019 here in Dundalk, what it means to retire, what the men's shed means, many things. So that was the first process, was the creative writing class. Now, the next song is called Love Letters, and it's written by Mickey McShane, who's not part of the choir, but was part of the creative writing class. I hope he's out there now, and I'll let Mickey's video explain the rest.
That all started a good while ago, 40 years, would it be? Aye, and the rest. Seems like yesterday, you know, I can remember everything as clear as daylight. When the conflict was going on and I became involved in it, one of the unlucky points about that is you can end up somewhere you don't want to be, which happened to me. But I was in good company. There was about $500 or $600, all the same age and what have you. But anyway, I was on the Crummin Road, and it was in the A1s, that's the bottom landing, and you had the 2s and the 3s. So I had a couple of mates, and they were in the 2s, and they happened to say to me, "There's a letter there I got smuggled in for you the other day, you know." So here's me, "All right, who's that from?" "Oh, it's Sconnie's sister." And I thought, oh, she's a real good looker, you know. So I'm in the cell reading it, I thought, oh, she's pouring her heart out to me. And of course, there's me, top of the world now. So, sees the pair of boys the next day. You could have sent a letter out through the authorities, but they says, "Here, leave a visit. You want to read a letter, I'll smuggle it out." Of course, now if you're caught smuggling, you end up in the boards. And I thought, well, I'll use them as the postman. And anyway, I'm writing the letter to her, gives it to John Boyle. Away it goes. But a week later, gets another letter back in. Oh, so she's poured her heart out and saying, "Hope I beat the rap, and if I do, within the club, Saturday night at the dance when the band's on. Here's me, oh great. So I'm writing away anyway. Well, this going on for about a couple of months. So anyway, another girl from the same district was up seeing me. And she's talking about him and she says, are you writing a Scottish, sister? And I says, oh. And I said, you're not jealous, are you? No. She says, but news for you. I says, it's not Scottish, sister, you're writing to, it's them two boys on the twos. And I goes, what? So of course, there was always a few tricks been pulled in the old jail just to get you by, you know. And straight away I knew. I says, oh my God. I says, I've been carrying on a love affair with these two idiots up. So I think I did, but when I got another letter, I never let it on, but I wrote it first page as if it was a normal one, and then when it was the PTO at the bottom, I had a message for them, and industrial language that the game was up, you know. So that was that. So that's how love letters came about.
I was fighting for a cause. That's the way it was when the RUC arrested me one night. They took me to the station and gave me a fair of bacon. I was charged and then interned without a trial. Being cooped up in a cell felt like living hell, with no knowing when I'd get out of jail. Then a rap on the bars woke me up with a start. Said the prison guard, it looks like you got mail. Letters in jail. If you should receive one, it's like the Holy Grail. Be careful who you fall for, or you get stung in the tail. Those all-consuming, most confusing letters in jail. With a letter signed unknown, couldn't tell who was from. A mystery Valentine on the outside. Though to me was just a gamer, I took out a pen and paper to take my mind off things a while. Oh, as the weeks passed, I heard more from the last. My fantasies ran free, though I was not. And from the bottom one could see that Grace and Joseph Plunkett were lending themselves to our love. Letters in jail. If you should receive one, it's like a holy grail. Be careful who you fall for, or you get stung in the tail. Those all-consuming, most confusing letters in jail. If you're going to engage in a love escapade and promise them love you'll always give, be sure to avail of some basic details like their gender, their name and where they live. Of course, after love, then it never does run smooth, and the truth of it came as quite a blow. After all my amorous efforts, I found out that those love letters were from the inmates of the road. Letters in jail. If you should receive one, it's like a holy grail. Be careful who you fall for, or you get stung in the tail. Those all-consuming, most confusing letters in jail. Letters in jail. If you should receive one, it's like a holy grail. Be careful who you fall for, or you get stung in the tail. Those all-consuming, most confusing letters in jail. Those all-consuming, most confusing letters in jail.
I'm not going to say anything else about that song. I think it speaks for itself. We have a couple of artists, professional artists involved in this project. To my left is Zoe Conway and John McIntyre. And we asked them if they could pick a song of their own or a song of their repertoire that would fit in with the theme of the night. They've picked a song by Martin O'Donoghue, and it's Os Gaeilge. So the first page, it has it in Irish, and for those who don't speak Irish, the English language version is on the next page. This is not really one you're going to be able to sing to. Irish and the Irish language is a very important part of the creative writing process, so we wanted, I'm delighted we could fit one tune in Irish in tonight. None of the ones that the lads or that I collaborated on are in Irish, basically because, and my mother's here tonight, and she'll know that my Irish leaves a lot to be desired. She had to. So now we're going to have our first tune without the choir. So over to, first to Zoe and John's video. Thank you.
Well, we got involved in the Men's Sheds project maybe about a year and a half ago when we were invited to come and work with them initially in their shed in Dundalk and try and help them to develop songs and get ideas out of them. And then we kind of developed it into this project, which is maybe we've gone from kind of more general songs into more personal songs about the stories of the men themselves.
Yeah, it's been really good trying to work with these guys, and really interesting to hear their stories and work with them and try and get them to achieve something that they've really never done before. One of the nicest things about being part of the project is the easiness. They're so easygoing, and they have a great love of life.
On some levels it's very personal, because when they tell their story and you're trying to create a song out of it, I mean ultimately this is going to be performed in front of people and you have to be very aware that you are telling somebody's personal song. And so they've been very generous really in opening that and allowing us to kind of work with it. But I suppose once it becomes a song, it's nearly a little bit separated. You know, you've got a chorus, you've got a first verse, second verse, you've heard it 100 times, and it does become a little bit less personal for them. And it kind of, the whole choir has to come together and sing it. So everyone also shares that emotion, the emotion of the song, and they're kind of carrying it for the individual whose story it was in the first place. So it's a really nice way of doing it. It's a little bit raw, I would imagine, for some of the men involved, you know, to kind of put it all out there on a stage. But we're very proud of the songs, and we've been really bowled over by the material we have and by the songs that have been created. We're very proud of it. We think it's very beautiful, and we're very thankful to them for opening up to us like that as kind of professional musicians.
Well, we thought it'd be really nice to try a song called Fuis Fio. It's a song that was written by Martin O'Donoghue, and he was from the Aran Islands, and it's written in Irish. And he tells a story in it, sort of abstractly, of his experiences working in an urban area and the differences between the urban area and his growing up in the Aran Islands, and the realities of the close community that there was there, and how he felt that there was a lack of that sort of community where he was living in the urban city, and how he on returning, Fuis Fio, it means I will find solace, I will get a break. So he's going to take a break. Fuis Fio, shall be garage a little while. A mask mogini ilan mara, and in amongst my people on an island.
The next song is called Rosaline, and it's by Jerry Duffy. There in the back row as well, Jerry. There he is, I was giving out. Jerry, oh yeah. This was one of the breakthrough moments in the creative writing session. When you're doing a long community project such as this, it can take a long time to get the stuff that you know is going to really work. And when Jerry told me the story that he'll tell us now on the video and also then in the song, I knew that we were going to create something very special. Jerry, if I'm right in saying I wasn't even in the choir at that point, were you, Jerry? No, Jerry was one of the songwriters, and there's some songwriters who didn't want to be in the choir, but Jerry joined the choir just so he could be part of this. So the next song is Rosaline, and this chorus is quite catchy if you want to join in. But first we'll watch the video.
How did I join the Men Sheds? Well, I saw an ad in a local paper, and they had an open day in September. I had a word with guys, had a tour, and I said, I like this place, I feel comfortable, I'm going to go, I'm going to join up. Yeah, what does the Men Sheds do for me? Well, it gets me out of bed in the morning, somewhere to go. I'm there now 4 years, and it's been very good for me mentally and physically, because I do the art, I do the writing, and that keeps my head and my body. Well, if there was no Men Sheds, I'd be stuck in the house an awful lot more. And I'd be bored, silly, because I need something to do to keep me right and keep me active. For me, it's just a place to go, relax, enjoy it, have a cup of tea and a biscuit and talk to the lads, get the latest crack, and I love it. Well, I met this girl one Saturday night in the rugby club in Dundalk. I spotted her and I said, I like her. And the last dance I got her for the last dance. And I had a shower. I said, I'll meet you next week if you're here in the rugby club. Following week, and she turned up. She was a lovely girl, very pleasant, grown great, and she was the love of my life. We eventually split up after a few years. I was very sad, it broke my heart. I was down in Shilling Hill about 30 years later, just reading the paper in the car, and eventually I got out and going for a walk, and I walked down the beach in Shilling Hill and came back up, and this girl came over to me, and I recognised the voice, but I didn't recognise her, and it was Roisin, the girl I was formerly in love with. And she had cancer, she was in a bad way. It was very sad, and it took me back emotionally, but I didn't recognise her. That really bothered me. Of course we got older 30 years later, but the voice was there, you know, and that kind of, from there and then we met a few times and we went here and there, but it was never the same, you know. At the end of the day, it was all over, you know, it just wasn't the same, you know, from her side and from my side. So you have to draw a line. I had to draw a line, get on with life, and that was it, you know. And that's what the song is about, the love of my life.
Rosaline, how I know you if I saw your face again. Well, it's been 30 years, God forgive this old man. I'm caught up in the memories of sweet days spent at Shilling Hill. Rosaline, my dark hair, lovely Rosaline. Watched a pair of lovebirds swimming in the sea. Once upon a time, that was you and me, bathing in the moonlight, shilling hill. Rosalie, my dark hair, lovely Rosalie. God be with me, can't I'm missing all those days of dancing, floating like butterflies. Your voice, your hair, your eyes, whirled into your arms, you overcame me with your lovely charms. I thought we danced through life, I've never loved again, Rosalie. Rosalie, my dark hair, lovely Rosalie. I guess we are to change now. You can't turn back the hands of time. I hate to hear your life has been so hard. Our dreams, they never matched up. It ain't your fault, nor is it mine. I've tried, Rosalie. I know you if I saw your face again. When it's been 30 years, God forgive this old man. I'm caught up in the memories of sweet days spent at Shilling Hill. Rosalie, my dark hair, lovely rose. Rosalie, my dark hair, lovely rose. Rosalie, my dark hair, lovely Rosalie.
So we thought it was very important as these songs came together to try to put them into context. So we collaborated, and we were very lucky to collaborate with some two students from DKIT's film studies, Porrick Mullen and Desmond Oy, who I know are here this evening. I think actually Porrick's mother's here this evening, so I hope you're very proud. So maybe give them a round of applause for the film. What was lovely about the films was that myself and Porrick would go out and visit each of the men, or indeed the musicians, in their houses. The idea being that we wanted to kind of create a fuller version of the houses. Then we realised that everybody had pets, so we had to keep putting cats and dogs and chickens. There's chickens in, and there's sheep. So I think that gives they're wonderfully put together, so it was brilliant to be able to work with the two lads. The next song, if you can wipe away your tears after that one, is a more upbeat one. It's called Don't Feed It to the Dog, and the gentleman who told us the story is Peter Grant, and Peter's sitting right down here in front of me. How you, Peter? And I'll let Peter tell us on the video.
Probably a Tuesday or Wednesday, and two guys from Ballymun were there, and I got in and then walked into the shed, and the man says, "You're walking very funny. You had a beer last night." "No, no," says I, "His foot's about strange." Says he, "Go on head over to the house, and the brother he'll light a fire." So I sat down and I spoke. took me boots and went over as far as the nearest house. He had a fire lit there. It was a really, really cold morning. And took off my shoe. I went to put on the boot, and my foot was frozen so cold, couldn't believe. So I just slipped off my sock and looked, and there was my foot, my good foot, on the same leg that I had the trouble on the knee, and it was a pure white colour of paper. And I said to myself, Peter, that's not good. You know, I knew the first aid part side of it. There's no circulation there. It's not pins and needles. You know, it's gone beyond pins and needles. So I said, here, there's the keys. Tell Kevin, I'm going to the Lewis Hospital. A problem with my foot, and I'll give him a ring later. So that was it. Into the hospital, into the Lady Lewis Hospital. Very luckily, the girl who was on triage, she was the first cousin of my wife. And she says, what are you doing here, Peter? Who's with you? And she thought I had a patient with me. I said, no, I'm the patient today. Oh, right, she says, what's the problem? I said, no circulation in my leg. I'm worried about it. Gives us a look. Took me into a little cubicle. It's for weighing babies just. And there was only one chair in it. And I whipped off my sock, whipped off my shoe, and said, all right, she said, that looks bad. She felt it. Oh, she said, that's cold. You talk about cold, she said, I've never seen a cold as that on anybody. The next thing, the anesthetist came out, he said, right, he said, that man's ready to go. He said, you're next. He said, I got to start giving you, put a few needles in. He said, put you to sleep. So he was pushing the needles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, he said, we count backwards from 50, he said, and I'll see you inside shortly. So I don't know how long I went, 49, 46, 43. And the next thing, Mr. Grant, Mr. Grant, Mr. Grant, wake up, Mr. Grant. We forgot to ask you, what do you want to do? We're going to be taking off the leg. Oh, this is the second time. Right, yeah. They told me there'd be only no chance I take off the leg now. Putting in the temporary supply didn't work. What do you want to do with the leg? I said, what do you do? He said, do you want to save it and bury it in your family burial ground, or what? I say, well, if it's any good for science testing, but just don't give it to the dog. Right, he said, and that was it. I woke up and I said, what did you do with the leg? Oh, it's got to the incinerator. So that was it.
The clouds parted, there it was, well within my reach. But just as I set out to climb up those last few feet, old Edmund Hill returned to me, and these words would it speak. Hold on, will you, Mr. Grant? What do you want to do with your leg? But all that I could muster was, don't feed it to the dog. Hold on, will you, Mr. Grant? What do you want to do with your leg? It's bad enough you cut it off, don't feed it to the dog. On a different night I dreamt the Duke of Edinburgh awarded me for bravery and praised me with fervour. But just as he reached out to pin the medal on my chest, he looked me squarely in the eye and asked me what to guess. Hold on, will you, Mr. Grant? What do you want to do with your leg? But all that I could muster was, don't feed it to the dog. Hold on, will you, Mr. Grant? What do you want to do with your leg? It's bad enough you cut it off, don't feed it to the dog. I dreamt that I was working down on the building site. I went to put my boot on, my foot was paper bright. I do with your leg? 'Cause all that I could muster was don't feed it to the dog. Hold on, will you, Mr. Grant? What do you want to do with your leg? It's bad enough you cut it off, don't feed it to the dog. I drifted off to sleep on the operating table and gazed upon that leg of mine while I was still able. The anesthetic did its work, I felt like light and fuzzy. The surgeon came into view, he was singing loud, or was he? Hold on, William, Mr. Grant, what do you want to do with your leg? If hard like the muster was, don't feed it to the dog. Hold on, William, Mr. Grant, what do you want to do with your leg? It's bad enough you cut it off, don't feed it to the dog.
Put it up here. It says I have to move the microphone. So during the creative writing classes, I got to know a lot of these men very, very well. We talked about a lot of things. Family, life, death. And sadly, in the chorus rehearsals, 2 members of the men's shed passed away. So we want to remember Chris Griffin and Sean McLaughlin. What? What also became apparent is how much family mean to people here in the choir and in the creative writing session. I know there's a lot of family members here tonight. And although we lost Chris and Sean, we gained someone else. This week, our choir master, Patrick, became a daddy for the first time. So I'd also like to dedicate the next song to little Lisha Onya Conley. The next song is called Grandad, and it's by George Marley. Anybody from George Marley's group here sing? And I'll let George on the video take it away.
The men's shed's open about 7 years now, and I've been there about 4.5. I spent the last 20 years of the working life in the post office, but when we were retiring, we were given the benefit of a week's tuition about retirement, and we had to go to Dublin, and that was very, very informative. It also made sure that we were more prepared than some people who retire. So they mentioned the men's shed and other organisations for to occupy people when they retire. Being a member of the men's shed provides me with a focus. It also fills the void that has occurred when you become unemployed or you retire. I think, talking to some of the other members, they would miss very badly their colleagues from work, and I think that that's a replacement for the workplace and the friendship and the family that you would have in terms of your work colleagues, and that you had a new family. The story about the song Grandad was just an idea that I had to give the meaning that people who have grandchildren, how important it is. And it struck me that sometimes we tend to let time pass so quickly without appreciating the value. And it's a little bit of an ironic song in the sense that it's probably gives the idea that you should pay attention to children, the younger generation, and don't always dismiss the requests. And if they want you to get down on your knees and play with them, Lego or anything else, you should take them up on that request.
So we've a little bit of kind of theatre in this one, so if I can ask George to come to the microphone here. George will be playing the part of the granddad in this song, so he's going to have to reach hard for that one. And then we needed someone to play George's granddaughter. We auditioned a few of the lads. That didn't go well. Here at Táin Arts Centre, we're very lucky to run a music school in association with Grow Music, and one of the students from Grow Music, Miriam Eljack, is going to play the granddaughter. Miriam.
No, I can't take you today, for I must be on my way. Yes, I would if I could, but I can't go today.
Why not? Granddad, are you going to the man's shed today? Granddad, are you going today? Granddad, are you going to the man's shed today? Granddad, are you going today?
Yes, I'm going to the place for it gives my head some space. I know you like some fun, but I must too old to run.
You're mean. Granddad, will you take me to the seashore today? Granddad, will you take me today? Granddad, will you take me to the seashore today? Granddad, will you take me today?
Well, I know you like to play, but the dog will only stray. I'm too tired to stay at home. It will just have to wait.
Why not?
Hey son, will you take me for an X-ray today? Hey son, will you take me today? I say son, will you take me for an X-ray today? Hey son, will you take me today?
Oh, I'd really like to, Dad, but you know the car I had, well, it's gone up with my wife, and she won't be back tonight. Sorry.
Granddad, will you take me to the playground today? Granddad, will you take me today? Granddad, will you take me to the playground today? Granddad, will you take me today?
So George there, who played the part of the granddad, was one of the more talkative members of the group in the creative writing process, I think is a nice way of saying it. And but he couldn't give me anything for a song. So we talk all the time, just said very little. So I was pushing to see if he could come up with something for a song. And next thing he comes along with the entire song written himself and the recording of himself and his daughter and his granddaughter, is that correct? Had recorded them all, he brought them all in and played them for us, so that was wonderful to hear. He also told me that, because George is no stranger to the stage. In his younger days he was part of a rockabilly band, would be right? I've literally just said it into a microphone, George. And that he could have been huge, except he got a wrist injury which affected his guitar, so his career was sadly cut short. The next song we have is Something Tells Me by Hugh McKittrick, and you'll be going, hold on a second, Hugh already gave us a song. Hugh gave me about 45 songs, which was brilliant, because Hugh, even more than George, was a celebrated musician in his day, and still hosts a weekly radio slot on, where are we? Dundalk FM, yes. So Hugh had an entire songbook, and we took two of those songs, and we've sung one earlier, and this one is Something Tells Me. But first we'll hear about the story of it.
3, 2, 1. Joining the men's sheds is kind of like what I would do normally in joining a group. I mean, I've been in many organisations all the way through. I'm in the Lions Club, and I was in Junior Chamber, and many other. I was in the Union of Work, that kind of thing. I was always that kind of animal. There is the theory of Maslow, if I can mention that, which is the belonging is about the third necessary thing and the basic need in a human being. So you have to belong to something, and you can't live your life. No man is an island, as they say. So joining the men's sheds was a natural thing to do for me. What gives me joy and what gives me the most joy? Well, I'm retired now, so I have a lot more freedom to pursue the things I want to pursue. In previous life and previously, I would have been dealing more with my family and getting a living and making money if I can. Now I'm able to pursue the arty things, like the songwriting, and that in particular, that gives me a lot of joy. And I was very happy when the Men's Sheds Choir decided to sing two of my songs. Well, the song is open to interpretation, and that means that you can do different things with it. It follows from the first four lines. Something tells me I'm losing you. Something tells me I will be blue. Right, that could be happy and sad. When you think about it, you could be missing someone, or you could be glad someone's gone. Either one. So something tells me it's open to interpretation. I was very pleased when I saw Zoe Conway and John McIntyre coming onto the project. I didn't know them that well then. I knew of them, of course, but they are great musicians. I mean, the reputation's well known, and what they're bringing to the project is immense. And I'm very glad to have people of that calibre working on my songs. That's a great thing for me.
Something tells me that I'm losing you. Something tells me I'll be blue. Something tells me that you're going away. And something tells me I've got to stay. Something tells me that I'm losing you. Something tells me I'll be blue. Something tells me that you're going away, and something tells me I've got to stay. Something tells me that I'm losing you. Something tells me I'll be blue. Something tells me that you're going away. And something tells me I've got to stay. Dining and whining and staying out late. I've eaten so much the things you hate. Please don't go, I beg you to wait. Lessons can be learned is my cry.
Something tells me that I'm losing you. Something tells me I'll be blue. Something tells me that you're going away. And something tells me I've got to stay.
Something tells me that I'm losing you. Something tells me I'll be blue. Something tells me that you're going away. And something tells me I've got to stay. And something tells me I've got to stay.
So around about last November, we had all of the stories. We had our three wonderful musicians, but there was a missing part, and obviously we had the choir, that's where we started. But there was a missing part of the puzzle. We needed someone who could put the stories into lyrics and give us a certain amount of melody that we could work with. And I asked a local singer-songwriter, Sophie Coyle, if she could do such a thing. And I'm absolutely delighted that she's on board. So first we're going to see a video from Sophie.
I got involved in the project. I got a call from Paul, and I just had our second child, Oisín, and was totally up for it. Just sounded completely right up my street. I love lyric writing, so and I also am a big fan of the Men's Shed and what they do. I came along to some of the creative writing sessions that Paul was doing in the Arts Centre, and got to know the men and their stories through that. So I would sit in on kind of one-to-one interviews with the guys, and Paul would be asking the questions, so I'd be taking notes in my jotter, and Paul sort of focused in on one particular story because they'd done a lot of work already together. So so I usually just had kind of one story to focus on. I wanted to pick something that's kind of personal and from my own life, just to fit in with the other songs. This is a song that I actually wrote for a friend of mine years ago who was feeling kind of guilty about not having seen his parents in a while. But now that I'm a parent myself, I actually kind of see it's like a love song from parents to their child in a way. I think what I've learned is how episodes in your life kind of condense down over time and they become clearer. Like when you're younger, everything is so fresh and emotionally charged, but as you get older, they become little vignettes and stories, and so I see that through the men, and that they don't have a lot of regrets, which is wonderful, because I kind of wonder, will I have plenty towards the end of my life? But that sort of positive things stand out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Sophie Coyle. So first, Sophie's going to do one of her own songs called You Still Belong.
don't come around here no more, not like you used to do. We don't ever see much of you, you're always just passing through. It is a strange sensation, takes some getting used to. You've got your own destination, does this mean we're through? Comes a time in a person's life, fitting into their skin. They must go out into the world to sort out the mess within. It is a strange sensation, takes some getting used to. You've got your own destination, does this mean we're through? Never feel far away from home, no matter how distant you roam, you'll always have a place in our hearts where you belong. Don't go beating yourself up for stepping on people's toes. When you're hitting out on your own, that's just the way it goes. It is a strange sensation, takes some getting used to. You've got your own destination, does this mean we're through? Never feel far away from home, no matter how distant you roam, you'll always have a place in our hearts where you belong. Da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, never feel far away from home, no matter how distant you roam, you'll always have a place in our hearts, no matter how far you roam. This will always be home. Ba-da-ba-ba-dum.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Sophie's going to play with us on the next song. The next song is called They Shoot Horses. I think the video and the song speak for themselves, so all I'm going to say is, from all of us here on the stage, we would like to dedicate this to the memory of Elaine. Thank you. So the next song we're going to hear is a song called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And the chap who gave me the story as part of the creative writing session didn't particularly feel that he wanted to talk about the song, which is fair enough, and it's something that all the men had the option to do. But I just wanted to say a few things about it. We were doing a session on writing down our greatest regrets in life, and the man gave me his greatest regret, which was not going on to third level education to study science. And when we started talking about it with the group or whatever, he was saying how in later life he's taught himself the internet, and he spends an awful lot of time looking at astronomy on the internet. And I was kind of saying, well, that's kind of good that you got to do it eventually. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, do you not have any other bigger regrets? And he couldn't think of one. And then he did mention something about his wife passing away. So we started talking about that. and it turned out that his biggest regret would be his wife being no longer with him, which led to the story of when his wife was diagnosed with cancer and the battle with cancer. And I empathise massively with the story because the story of the song and the title, They Shoot Horses, Don't They, is about the idea that sometimes we can treat our animals better than we treat our loved ones. And I remember when my own father was died of he had Alzheimer's, and for the last year and a half of his life he was in a home, and it was very hard to watch, and there was very little man left. And I think myself and the gentleman who gave us the story for this song connected over the fact that we both watched loved ones slowly leave us in a lot of pain, and we often had thoughts about how wrong that was. So I think that's what led to this song. It's a very incredibly emotional song, and I hope that the man who gave me the song, and indeed his family, are here to hear it tonight.
Dubrovnik, 1969, we saw lippers and horses for the first time. Awed and amazed by their grace and control, the horses on which the great generals rode. And I looked at you beside me, my young wife, and I thought this would be quite a life.
I wanted you to die with dignity. We're kinder to our animals at sea, ending their veins with thee. They shoot horses, don't they? I wanted you to die with dignity. We're kinder to our animals at sea, ending their veins with thee. They shoot horses all day.
Our daughters off to the polo game. You were horse crazy, our girls are just the same. The memory of all those precious years can be traced back through the souvenirs you collected and lovingly arranged. It's all still there, nothing's changed.
I wanted you to die with dignity. We're kinder to our animals as it seems, ending their pains with thee. They shoot horses, don't they? I wanted you to die with dignity. We're kinder to our animals as it seems, ending their pains with thee. They shoot horses all day.
Not long after your diagnosis, your horse got sick. You'd had it 15 years. We called the vet off from the race course. You wanted to be there to see off your horse. It gave you peace to see it go so gently. I wish we could have shown you the same mercy.
I wanted you to die with dignity. We're kinder to our animals as it seems, ending their veins with thee. They shoot horses all day. I wanted you to die with dignity. to our animals it seems, and in their pains relief. They shoot horses, don't they?
Right, we're coming to the last song of the evening, and before we do, I have a few thank yous to say for people I haven't mentioned so far. You wouldn't be able to see us if it wasn't for Anthony Quinn on lights, thank you. And you wouldn't be able to hear us if it wasn't for Sean on sound, thank you so much, Sean. And before we do our last song, I'm going to list all the men who've been involved in this. Some of them are up here, some of them are down there, some of them are up there, and some of them couldn't be here for other reasons. And if you're the granddaughter, grandson, brother, wife of these, when I read them out, and give us a shout. So I want to say thank you to Pat O'Brien, Brian Byrne, Jim Byrne, Jerry Clark, Tom Cunningham, Eamon Cosgrove, Seamus Crossan, Michael Comiskey, Eamon Daly, Jerry Duffy, John Freeman, Peter Grant, Peter Gray, Oni Hanratty, Oliver Haughey, Jimmy Mackin, George Marley, Jerry Martin, Tommy Murphy, Billy McCormick, George McIntaggart, Hugh McKettrick, Eugene McMahon, Mikey McShane, Peter O'Neill, and Chris Simpson. So to talk us into the last song, we've one more video. Our last song is called Shedder's Song. The chorus is very easy, so you can definitely sing this one. But before, we'll have one more video.
Era, era, in our shots of the killer, going, le going, frag me glad na hera. And I used to play the guitar when I was a young guy. I found it attracted the ladies a lot, but then I put it away in the attic because I was always the last for the ladies to talk to because I was too busy playing the guitar. But I've taken it down now after 40 years in the attic and anxious to learn another bit. When you work for 40 years of your life and retire and you don't want to be sitting at home all day or figuring out what you're going to do. Well, isolation is a problem for old people, especially if your wife has passed away or your daughters have emigrated or your family not around you like they were. So isolation is a big issue. And it's amazing, Dundalk was one of the first in Ireland that was founded, and now there's well over 400 around the island of Ireland in every single county. It's amazing. So it obviously has been proven to work. Over 10,000 guys attending their shed. The ethos, I suppose, of the shed is learning from each other. So if you want to do things, there's guys who know how to do different things, and so the ethos is sort of to be a learner or a teacher. The learning and be it if you want to be a learner or you want to be a teacher, that's a big, huge issue. For a guy like me who's worked in an office environment all his life, well, it's fantastic to learn how to do a bit of wood carving or experience machines that you've never used before. And good satisfaction from the teacher side to have, for another guy who spent 40 years in carpentry or whatever, to be able to pass that skill along. There's no better way to get satisfaction out of your free time than produce something you can hang on the wall and feel proud of, you know.
So before our last song, there's just one thing I forgot to mention earlier on. They don't really know this, but I hope to bring this event further afield. And the problem when you do community events such as this is you don't get any coverage in national media. That's just the way of it. Those who work in this area are well aware of that. We don't care anymore because we've got something much more powerful than that, which is social media. If this has communicated out there tonight, I don't know if it did, but if it has, you could go onto Facebook later on, onto Táin Arts Centre's page and leave us a little review, and then I can review that, use those reviews to get loads of money to bring this further afield, because I think it deserves it.
Here we speak a different language to the one in the pub. There's a sense of belonging, we know grown to love. All the jobs around the house are done. Sit there twiddling your thumb, waiting for boredom to set in. Turn off your duty, get yourself out of bed, and join the crackdown lantern and shed. There's a thing that would send you right in the head. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed.
If unemployment or retirement is your lot late in life, with rejection letters piled up in the hall, don't sit around waiting for the phone to ring. Come down to see Town Shed. We welcome all.
And join the crackdown lantern and shed. It's the thing that will send you right in the head. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed.
A man. What is a man but an extension of man and woman? Born to crawl and walk his way through life. A difficult task for anyone to ask. Born to talk and learn to cry, not to be shy. School days come and go, college maybe too. The carpenter, the bricklayer, the teacher, or a scholar too. Every man to his destiny, single, married, a family too, whatever suits you. Ireland's call on man today is great, not easy and difficult to relate. Troubled by greed, drugs, homelessness, poverty and status. A nation calls on man to uphold his community, play his part and stand the right. Be a good citizen, seek the common good. Join the men's shed and be a brother to Ted, John, Mickey, Terry, and all who wish them well. Join the choir, entertain, paint, write, book it out together. Learn from each other. Share your talents, seek your goals, never give up. Be a man of endeavour, a good shadow.
And join the crackdown lantern and shed. It's the thing that will send you right in the head. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed. I found my tribe in the sea-town and shed.
I escaped gaily from the house to men's shed. I share a house with 4 lovely ladies, a bossy wife and 3 beautiful daughters. One bathroom in our house was once enough for the whole lot of us, but it's not enough anymore. An old aged man like me needs to go after every single cup of tea. But female traffic can often make me desperate when I have to go. Now in Men's Shed there are no females, but there's plenty of free tea. And believe it or not, there's also an idle ladies' loo next to the men's loo. No one in the shed knows that I sneak in there regularly. I no longer have to stand and stare at a blank wall. Now I can sit, drink more tea, relax, enjoy the silence, read the paper, text love to my lovely ladies, perform any function, and even pass wind out of earshot of all. It's much nicer than queuing to go at home. But please don't tell Men's Shed of my secret pleasures. They might lock up the ladies' loo forever, and then I'd be forced to live full time in a queue with me 4 lovely ladies. And join the crackdown and women shed is the thing that will set you right in the head. I found my tribe in the street down next door. I found my tribe in the street down next door.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up one more time for John McIntyre on guitar. On fiddle, Zoe Conway. On keyboard, Patrick Connolly. And now welcome back to the stage, Miriam Eljak. And Sophie Coyle. And now if I can ask you to get to your feet, if you can rise to join us, we're going to sing the song together, the last chorus. We're going to sing it a couple of times to show your appreciation for these wonderful men.
Turn off the duty, get yourself out of bed, and join the crackdown. Women's Shed is the thing that will set you right in the head. I found my tribe in the street down next door. I found my tribe in the street down next door. Turn off the duty, get yourself out of bed, and join the crackdown. Women's Shed is the thing that will set you right in the head. I found my tribe in the street down next door. I found my tribe in the street down next door.
No, I can't take you today, for I must be on my way. Yes, I would if I could, but I can't go to